The Cotton Field and the Human Body, A Lesson in Lifestyle Medicine Part 2, number 1720, July 19, 2026, Gerald C. EclaireMD Foundation, Category Glucose and Medication. Conclusion: while watching the YouTube story about an exhausted cotton field restored through a fish pond and a natural nutrient recycling system, I suddenly realized that the story was never really about cotton. It was about life of farmland. The cotton field represents the human body. The soil represents our body's underlying biological environment. The circulating water represents blood circulation and the many benefits of regular physical activity. The small water pump represents the continuous movement of nutrients, oxygen, hormones, immune cells, and metabolic waste by heart throughout the body, the fish, together with their waste. Aquatic plants and beneficial microorganisms represent healthy nutrition, the gut microbiome, and the body's remarkable ability to recycle, repair, and regenerate itself. The farmer did not restore the land by forcing it. She restored it by respecting it. This simple idea further enhanced the way I think about human medicine. Over the past 17 years, I have gradually reached the same conclusion through studying my own body. My objective has never been simply to lower blood glucose, reduce blood pressure, lower cholesterol, or improve laboratory values. Those measurements are important because they tell us how the body is functioning. But they are not the ultimate objective. The ultimate objective is to restore and preserve my own body's biological ecosystem, lifestyle medicine, including healthy nutrition, regular exercise, adequate sleep, stress reduction, proper hydration, and maintaining a healthy microbiome works by supporting the body's own capacity for repair, adaptation, and regeneration. These daily habits resemble the circulating water, the pump, the fish, and the living biological processes that gradually restored the exhausted cotton field. This philosophy does not imply that medications are unnecessary. On the contrary, modern medicine has saved countless lives. Antibiotics, insulin, antihypertensive medications, anti-seizure medications, emergency surgery, and many other medical therapies are indispensable, particularly during acute illness and life-threatening situations. However, once the immediate crisis has passed, another question naturally follows: how do we prevent the next crisis? That question cannot always be answered by adding more medication alone. Just as repeatedly applying chemical fertilizer cannot fully restore exhausted farmland, medication alone cannot always rebuild the body's underlying healthy biological environment. They help control disease, relieve symptoms, or stabilize pathophysiological function. But long-term health depends upon rebuilding and maintaining the living system itself. That responsibility belongs largely to us. Every healthy meal, every walk, every hour of quality sleep, every effort to reduce unnecessary emotional stress, every glass of water, every positive daily habit. Each one may seem insignificant by itself. Yet, just as years of nutrient recycling gradually transformed an exhausted cotton field into fertile farmland, thousands of small lifestyle decisions gradually reshape the body's internal biological environment. Those processes are neither dramatic nor instantaneous. It is gradual. It is cumulative. It requires patience. It requires consistency. Most importantly, it requires respect for the remarkable nature biological system that we have been given. Healthy soil grows healthy plants. Healthy physiology supports healthy organs. Healthy daily habits support healthy lives. Perhaps the deepest lesson from this simple farming land restoration story is that both the land and the human body health deserve our respect and care. Neither achieves lasting health by depending primarily on increasing chemical inputs. Instead, long-term resilience comes from understanding, preserving, and restoring the living biological system itself. For me, this farming story is far more than an agricultural lesson. It is a philosophy of medicine. It reminds me that the human body is not merely a machine to be repaired whenever it breaks down. It is a living ecosystem to be understood, respected, nurtured, and protected throughout life. That simple realization has profoundly influenced my own 17 years journey in lifestyle medicine, and it continues to guide the way I think about health, disease, recovery, and, ultimately, the preservation of life itself. This Farmland Chronicles tells stories of farmland, resilience, and the quiet decisions that outlast generations. One lesson I learned from this farming story is that some farmers continue applying different kinds of chemical fertilizers, trying to artificially rebalance the soil's chemical composition. Although these fertilizers may improve crop production, They can never fully replace or outperform the natural biological balance of healthy soil. I believe the same principle applies to human health. Medications are often beneficial and, in many situations, absolutely necessary. However, they should remain secondary to maintaining the body's natural biological balance. Our first priority should be to understand and respect how the human body is naturally designed to function. From a Christian religious perspective, this reflects God's design. From a scientific research perspective, the human species has survived and evolved over millions of years because its pathophysiological systems are fundamentally balanced and highly adaptive. Therefore, lifestyle medicine should remain the primary foundation of long-term health. When special circumstances arise, medications become valuable complementary tools. However, they should support the body's natural balance rather than become the primary driver of long-term health management. Epilogue. While reflecting on this simple cotton field story, I gradually realized something about the way my own mind works. For many years, I believed that I was simply studying different subjects: engineering, mathematics, physics, computer science, artificial intelligence, medicine, psychology, neuroscience, physiology, pathology, and human health. In reality, I was searching for something much deeper. I have always been looking for the underlying principles that govern complex systems. When I hear a story, I rarely focus only on the story itself. Instead, I instinctively ask a different question: what is the underlying mechanism? And does the same mechanism exist somewhere else? That way of thinking allows me to connect ideas that, at first glance, appear completely unrelated. The cotton field became the human body. Soil chemistry became human physiology. The fish pond became lifestyle medicine. The circulating water became blood circulation and exercise. The biological recycling of nutrients became metabolism. The gut microbiome and the body's natural regenerative processes. Chemical fertilizer became analogous to medication. Not because medications are unimportant, but because neither medications nor chemical fertilizers alone can permanently restore the health of a living ecosystem. What truly restores both the land and the human body is rebuilding the underlying biological environment. Looking back over the past 17 years of my medical research, I now realize that this pattern of thinking has guided much of my work. Whether the first was studying wave theory, viscoplasticity, topology, signal processing, control systems, mechanical engineering, electronic engineering, artificial intelligence, psychology, or medicine, I was always trying to identify the common principles shared by seemingly different disciplines. The academic disciplines themselves were never my final destination. They were simply different windows through which I observed the same underlying reality. Perhaps this explains why I naturally connect various stories, engineering concepts, mathematical models, and biomedical science. To me, they are not isolated fields of knowledge. They are different languages describing the behavior of complex living systems. This realization has become one of the most valuable lessons of my research journey. The more I learn, the more I appreciate that nature often solves similar problems using similar principles, regardless of whether we are observing a cotton field, the human body, or an engineering system. Perhaps that is why this simple farming story resonated with me so deeply. It reminded me that understanding begins not by separating knowledge into different academic disciplines, but by recognizing the common principles that unite them. This story reminds us that we must respect both the natural healing capacity of living systems and the time required for recovery, whether it is the soil or the human body. Both are complex natural systems that cannot be restored overnight. We should support and respect their natural recovery processes rather than repeatedly forcing them with fertilizers or strong medications, except when such interventions are truly necessary. Medications remain essential for many acute illnesses, emergencies, and surgical care. However, for many chronic metabolic disorders, they should serve as supportive tools rather than the primary foundation of long-term health. Balance, harmony, and the whole body. Real health happens when your whole body is working together in harmony. Not simply when you are not sick or when a prescription merely keeps your lab numbers looking good. Quote from my lifetime friend: the story reminds me of what I learned in the first class of M. Introductory Soil Science course in 1965, while I was a college sophomore. The first chapter of the textbook used in this course, The Nature and Properties of Soil 6th ed. by Gerald C. Brady provides the following overview regarding soils. The concept of soil to the pedologist. Soil is a dynamic natural body occurring on the surface of the earth, composed of mineral and organic materials and living forms. It is a highly complex entity, developed under the combined influence of climate and living organisms, as modified by topography, acting upon various parent rocks over long periods of time. Conceptually, soil is not merely a passive mantle of weathered rock. It is a complex, three-phase system consisting of solid, liquid, and gaseous phases. This system is in a state of constant change, involved in continuous interactions of physical, chemical, and biological processes that operate simultaneously to support plant life. Because these components are intricately interwoven, any change in one phase immediately alters the equilibrium of others. The soil must therefore be studied and understood not as a static mixture, but as a dynamic, living system where energy and matter are constantly transferred and transformed. It is a fascinating example of circular agriculture, blending soil science with aquaculture to fix a modern farming issue. When soils are damaged by excessive anhydrous ammonia liquid nitrogen, they suffer from severe acidification, disrupted microbiomes, and structural collapse. Using nutrient-rich, biologically active water from fish farming, aquaculture offers a highly effective, natural remedy. Here is a breakdown of how this ecosystem approach heals the soil. 1. Neutralizing acidification. The problem: anhydrous ammonia drastically lowers soil pH over time. The remedy: aquaculture wastewater is typically alkaline or neutral. The result: continuous irrigation buffers and neutralizes the acidic soil. 2. Restoring the microbiome. The problem: chemically injected nitrogen sterilizes beneficial soil microbes. The remedy: fish waste contains highly diverse, live beneficial bacteria. The result: the irrigation water re-inoculates the dead soil with life. 3. Balancing nutrients. The problem: synthetic fertilizers create extreme, toxic nitrogen spikes. The remedy: fish water delivers organic, slow-release nitrogen and phosphorus. The result: plants absorb nutrients naturally without chemical burning. 4. Improving soil structure. The problem: intensive chemical farming destroys soil organic matter. The remedy: fish feces and organic detritus act as natural humic acids. The result: the soil regains its ability to hold water and oxygen. This closed-loop system creates a symbiotic relationship with fish, produce the exact biological medicine the chemically damaged soil needs, while the soil and crops act as a natural filter for the agricultural system. Disclaimer: write this paper not for fame, but to share what I have learned so others can understand their health, prevent disease, and live longer, healthier lives. This content is provided for educational reference only and does not constitute medical advice. No. Doctor-patient relationship is created. You may share this summary freely, but it must not be altered, edited, or republished as your own. All intellectual property rights and copyrights for this article and its related materials belong to T. The author, Gerald C. This content is provided for educational reference only and does not constitute medical advice. No doctor-patient relationship is created. You may share this summary freely, but it must not be altered, edited, or republished as your own. All intellectual property rights and copyrights for this article and its related materials belong to the author, Gerald C.